What's going on, guys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. Episode 8 of FIFA SCHOOL, we should call this. Sorry for a delay. Just been recovering from my injury. But we are back nonetheless. I want to talk about something. I know FIFA's coming to a close now, but I know a lot of people, new players, are watching my videos, and I want to talk about how to increase the most. Well, this is not for the. This tutorial can, I think everyone can learn from this tutorial. Even if you're a good player, I think you'll still pick up some things which will help you in this tutorial. Maybe not the beginning, but maybe if you're like a good player and you're watching this, maybe you can skip towards the end. Because I know not everyone's gonna stick through the whole video. But I'm just gonna talk about how to increase your goal scoring well, how to increase your finishing in front of goal. That's the main thing. I want you to talk about mainly using time shooting. After I coach quite a few people now, and a lot of people, they don't use time finishing, and I'll be honest, it's something that you want to use. It's going to be the difference between winning and losing. In my honest opinion, just by time shooting alone, you should be able to get 4 to 5 extra wins every week in league, and I mean that honestly. Time shooting is such a big difference. Now let's talk about time shooting. There's kind of there's kind of different there's like there's different times of shots. You've probably seen them, like the yellow, green, etc, etc. They all mean different things. So what it is there's a red timing, which is basically considered a late shot, and then there's a yellow time, which is basically an early shot, and then there's a green time, which is a perfect shot, and then there's a grey timing. Now, pre-patch, long story short, yellow used to be more effective than late timing, but I believe now that late timing, which is a normal shot, late timing is basically a shot untimed, or if you miss a time, it just becomes a regular shot. It's better than yellow. Now, why do I say that? I'll explain to you why I say that. It's because I found that when you shoot it late, you don't get penalized. But when you shoot the shot early or you miss the shot, it's a difference. What I mean by that is, if you hit it red, you're going to miss. Most chances you're going to fluff your shots, even the most simplest shots you will. Now, yellow pre-patch used to be very accurate, more accurate than a normal shot. But I found that if you compare a yellow shot and a normal grey shot from my testing, a normal untimed shot is actually better. Now, obviously, green is kind of the optimal where you want to hit it. But I've kind of worked out, in my opinion, and what I'm telling everyone now, and how I use is this an efficiency point. Now, the efficiency point lies in, so ignore this graph. So the efficiency point is, where exactly do you hit a time shot? Now, if you're new to time shooting, go practice in squad battles, go play a couple of squad games. It'll be relatively easy to get used to. All you got to do is you just press the shoot button, you press square again. It's relatively easy to turn on as well. You just go to settings, and I know you're probably going to think, well, this is really hard, I don't want to get into it, but believe me, this is one thing for FIFA 19 that I would not miss out. Honestly, this is the difference. Time shooting can be enabled here. Turn it on. Read this description. I believe the description has changed. Before, it used to say that yellow increases the shot power a bit, but now it just says perfectly timed. It doesn't refer to early shots anymore. So the key is, and you'll probably ask me, is it worth doing it? Yes. If you do time shooting correctly, it is worth doing it. I kind of figured out an efficiency point. Where to hit the time shot. Now, this kind of depends on person to person. Everyone obviously the pro players, they have muscle memory. They know just by the player animation when to hit the ball. But the first thing I want you to do is actually focus on the player's feet, not the bar. I'll explain to you what I mean by that. What I'm referring to is the actual bar itself. There's no need to now. What I mean by that is, sorry, let me rephrase this. There's a bar that you're going to see above a player's head. Now, typically speaking, this bar is meant to aid you. However, I think it's quite the opposite, in my opinion. The bar that normally, like, see that too late bar, it doesn't really help. Turn this bar off, in my opinion. What you want to look is, you look at the feet of the player, and where you want to hit the ball is when your player is just about to touch the ball. You want to kind of time it again. So a normal shot, you just press a shoot button. So, and I use square to shoot. So you just press the shoot button, right? But if you time it, you want to wait for the player to make the animation. So what I would like to say is when your foot is raised, so imagine this is a player's foot, right? So imagine one foot's on the ground, and when the foot is being raised about here, just high, and imagine, just for example's sake, right? Just for example's sake, imagine this is the ball. When the foot is raised at this position, elevated, this is when you want to press the shoot button again. This is just so you get used to time shooting, and I'll explain to you why. So basically, just look at the feet, and as soon as the guy feet is kind of raised up, just before he makes contact to the ball is kind of the ideal place you want to hit it. But you want to hit it just before. Obviously, if you hit it after, it becomes too late. But the key is you want to time it perfectly. Practice this in skill games. Just play a couple of skill games. Try getting it green. Skill games is a good example. Then move on to squad battles, because squad battles you have defenders near you. Obviously, in a real game scenario, it's much different. But I've worked out there's actually an efficiency point, and it's the way I've been doing it is. So what I found out is I kind of divide it into different sections. Okay, so I like to say that the whole red. So now imagine a late time shot, as I said, is a normal shot. So if you miss the timing completely, all that happens is it just becomes a regular shot. You're not penalized for it. You see what I'm saying? However, if you hit it yellow or red, you are penalized for your shot, and it ends up becoming worse. So what I've discovered is, now assuming that, let's say, a normal shot represents 100%. Now that means that a normal shot is 100%. No negative or no positives to it. Now the green point is the most optimum point, obviously, and let's just assume that green is 150. So we know that a green time shot increases accuracy and power. So let's represent this by 150. Now we're going to put yellow at 75, and then we're going to put red at 25. Now, in my opinion, this is kind of the division of what this is not really depicted, and they don't really mention it at all in this document. They show some examples and some mathematics, but it's not really accurate because it doesn't take into account composure and many other things. But let's just assume, just for this example, that those are represented by those numbers. Now, what is very interesting indeed, is that people tend to aim over here. Now, this is actually very inaccurate. There's no point aiming at this point, because you're actually losing more than you're gaining. What I mean by that is, if you hit the shot over here and you time it too early, there's a chance you'll hit a yellow time shot. So therefore, the most efficient point ideally you'd want to hit is here, because you're going to get to 150%. Of course, you want to maximize it, but the truth is, in a real world example, what's the chance of you hitting it green in the game? You're probably going to miss it a couple of times. So what I've kind of devised and what I've figured out is, if you hit it at this point, so in my opinion, this is the efficiency point here. So you want to aim for this, because obviously, ideally, this is the most efficient point, but in a realistic situation, you're never going to hit it green. If you hit it at this point, there's only two outcomes that can either happen. It's either A, it's going to be a perfectly timed shot, or B, it's going to be a normal shot. Now, if you hit the ball, let's say, what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, I'm just going to delete this for a second. Now, let's say we go into a game, into the skill drill. Now, if you hit the shot early like I did, right, you get penalized, becomes yellow shot. That's 75% of a normal shot. If you hit it too early, or yellow, or if you hit it too early, it becomes red. Now, that's 25% of a normal shot. You're getting penalized there if you hit it too early. However, if you aim to time it as late as possible, you're either gonna miss the timing completely, it'll be a regular shot, get a late timing, too late, which is still a regular shot, which is 100%, there's no loss on it, or you're gonna get it green. So there's actually no loss whatsoever if you hit it at that point. That's why for me, you should be aiming at the efficiency point. Just on this area over here. That's where you should be aiming for, over here. Now, how you can achieve that is very simple. Again, look at the feet of the player. The feet of the player is very important. Remember what I said? As soon as he lifts his leg up, so as soon as he has leg, if you watch my red icon is, once the leg is about there, as soon as it hits that point, that's when you want to hit it again, to hit the time shot button. That's kind of the best way, the most efficient way of doing it. Of course, there's different kind of shots. For example, in different situations, I find that shooting outside the box is redundant. Finesse shots have been nerfed into the ground. You'll be so surprised in a real world example. In a game, composure is taken into effect. I'm scoring these now, but believe me, if you're in a real life game, I mean not real life, I mean if you're in a real FIFA game, it's a different situation entirely. There's composure, there's a lot of other things taken into account. But I would say if you're getting used to it, just focus on normal power shots. For now, I know, of course, I know like low drivens are really effective, and that's what you should be doing, low drivens from certain angles. So in my opinion, like if you're in either of these angles, so like if you're like in this area of the pitch or you're in this area of the pitch, and this is the goal, you kind of want to shoot across goal, a low driven or near post. These are kind of the angles where you want to do these kind of shots. But realistically, it's hard to do. There's no point doing this. A lot of tutorials are saying learn low drivens, but if you're just learning time shooting, this is not going to help. It's basically just trying to teach you how to fly a plane before you can even get off the runway. So what I'm trying to say is learn the basics, just get normal shots on lock. Try to just do normal power shots. Don't worry about low drivens, don't worry about finesses, just try to smack it into the back of the net and hit it green. That's all I want you to do. So if you're watching this video and you're new to FIFA, just try to hit it green into the back of the net, a power shot. 2/3 of power, don't go more than 2/3 of power, just try to hit it into the back of the net. Even in the game, just practice this. Normal shot. Don't worry about anything else, just get it. A power shot only, normal power shot, a normal shot, and try to get it green. Now, there's a lot of things that also I attributed to finishing. As I said, skill games is not really a good example. Online and squad battle is probably the best way of, you could say, practicing this. Now, there's many important stats which I think contribute to finishing. I think if you don't time a shot, you're basically in trouble. And I mean that, because shooting is so inconsistent. I mean, I miss 1v1s that are green, and this is the kind of the issue in a game. And this is why I try to advocate players who got 5-star weak foots and who have got really good shooting stats. So I'll give you an example. David Villa, one of my favorite players in real life, and a perfect example of a striker in real life. But in a game, he's very OP. Number one, he's got a 5-star weak foot. Now what that means is he can shoot with any foot. You want to increase your chances in front of goal. Now, why would you want to penalize yourself and have, for example, a player like Pepe, who's got a 3-star weak foot? Now, if you're up against a very good player will like to push Pepe on his on his right foot, because he knows Pepe's got, it's like kind of like, if you think about it in real life, right? Arjen Robben, right? One of the most fantastic players in the game. But technically, his right foot is nowhere near as good as his left foot. The key with defending against Arjen Robben is you never let him cut in on his left foot. We've seen him play right wing for Bayern Munich on many years. The key is don't let him cut in on his left foot. When he cuts in on his left foot, it's basically game over. Now, if you're up against a player like this in FIFA, if I was defending against Pepe, I'd push him on his weak foot. But when you have a player like David Villa, it's much different because he can shoot equally good on both feet. So this is increasing your chances on goal. So that way it's harder for your opponent to defend against the player, and more importantly, it's increasing your chances of finishing. The second thing which I like to talk about is stats. Now, composure is really important. Now, if you have a player that's got 70 composure, it doesn't matter if you have 99 shooting, okay? Now, composure is affected by these stats. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 99. Imagine these stats were on 99. Hypothetically speaking, imagine these were 99, right? If you have one composure, you're going to miss probably every single time, unless you're clear 1v1 with no pressure. Because how composure works is how your players in the ball. Now, in a real life situation in the game, there's going to be the goalkeeper around you. There's going to be a lot of players in their proximity to your player. So there's going to be defenders pressing you. This is why you need high composure. You want high composure to finish chances. You'll find that if you have low composure, so I'll give you a good example, right? Balotelli, although he's got really good really good composure, his shooting stats are not that good. He can still finish the ball because his composure is amazing. If you compare that in contrast with someone like Neymar, same thing again. He's got not the best shooting stats, but his composure is very high. But if you were to get on through goal with someone else, so let's say for example Promes, he hasn't got the best composure, 79 composure. He's got decent finishing, but he lacks the composure, so he misses more chances. So ideally you want to play with high composure. Then of course, second, you want a player with good finishing. If you can get a combination of good finishing, good composure, and at least decent shot power, that's the best things you can do. Honestly, that's the best things you can do, because that's going to increase your chances in front of goal 100%. You hit that green, it's probably going to go into the back of the net. Now, chemistry styles can be used. Now, the only chemistry style that improves composure, unfortunately, is sniper. So let me just give you an example. Let's just put Promes here. Okay, so this is an example, right? So we've got Promes in the left wing. Now what I'm trying to show you is, imagine Promes, he's on full cam now, right? Now when he gets a sniper, well, this is not a really good example, but normally sniper gives you a plus 5 composure. So ideally, in a realistic kind of world, the only way to increase your composure to the maximum is by putting a sniper on the player. But there's other chemistry styles which are very good. Deadeye is a very good chemistry style, especially for strikers. So for example, I'll give an example here, right? Troy Dean, he's got full chemistry. When you put a Deadeye, it gives him a combination of finishing and shot power, which is very, very important. Plus 15 and plus 15 on shot power and finishing. It gives him the most important stats for finishing. As long as his composure is good and he's got good finishing and good shot power, you're good to go. Don't worry about long shots too much. Surprisingly, this stat doesn't really affect long shots that much. It's only if you're like very far outside the box. Most of the time, you're going to be shooting inside the box, so long shots do not matter. Another thing, a big myth, is curve. Everyone asks me, does curve affect shooting? It doesn't. The curve of a shot is determined by many things. It's determined by if a player has a trait. So, for example, if he has a finesse shot trait, then finesse shots are more likely to go in. But in terms of the ball being curved into the back of the net, the curve stat doesn't directly impact the amount of curve applied to the ball. That's done by finishing. So the higher finishing you have, theoretically, the more curve will be applied to the ball. EA have confirmed this before. So this curve only affects passing stats. So if you do, for example, a long driven pass, the curve affects, so the higher the curve, the better the driven pass. If you do, for example, a driven pass in behind, high curve will allow that ball to curve. But even if you had zero curve, let's say this was 0, it does not affect the finishing or the shot going into the back of the net. So when you press the shoot button, completely negate the actual curve stat. It makes no difference. That's the biggest myth. So as I said, just concentrate mainly on composure, finishing, and if you can, try to get the best shot power, because goalkeepers this year they've got really bad animations, and the harder the shot is, if you get it green, a lot of shot power, even if the goalkeeper tries to make the save, the ball will most likely go past them. That's what I was saying in terms of finishing. That's kind of my 2 cents on finishing. As I said, the main thing I take away is the most efficient point. If you are getting used to timing shots, as I said, try to time it in this area here. This is kind of where you want to hit it. I'll be going into some examples in an upcoming few videos that I'll be doing. But that's ideally where you want to hit the perfect shot. Aim for there, because as I said, you don't get penalized because it just becomes a regular shot, or it's going to be greened. If you hit it if you try to aim before this point, then before this point, it's just going to basically be negative. So that's what I'd say. You can read this article. I'll leave it in the description. But to be honest, there's nothing really much. To be completely honest, I don't think this article is as accurate as they say it is to be. I can only surmise that they just kind of put this kind of stats in, but these are not really reflected in the game, because it doesn't say if it's a time shot, if it's a regular shot. It does in some instances, but it doesn't say, for example, is composure affected, all these are kind of, there's so many discrepancies with this in general. So I'll leave it if you do want to read it. But as I said, try to hit it. And remember what I said, try to do as much as you can green time shots. Don't worry about doing low drivens. Completely forget about that. Just try to aim it, as I said, in the most efficient point. And don't be scared. Look, and the first, you're probably going to lose a couple of more games by doing this. Start with, as I said, on skill games, and then move eventually to squad battles, and then move to online. Honestly, it shouldn't take you more than a couple of hours to get used to this. Honestly, you'll get so used to it so quickly. It'll just become second nature to you. As I said, there's the optimum point, and another thing I want to talk about optimum point is, even if you miss, so a lot of people, the problem they have is in the game they find a lot of pressure, and they find that when they end up pressing the shoot button too early, and that's why they end up missing the most obvious chances like that. So they'll be right in front of goal and end up missing the most obvious chances. The key is, if you hit it late as possible, it's either going to be green, but more importantly, you can completely miss the shot, or you might even miss the timing. There's no negative effect. As I said, power shots, try to hit a green. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a bit of a different kind of video. It's kind of more informative, should I say, rather than a tutorial, but nonetheless, I think it's very important, because I'll be honest, most people I've been coaching recently, hardly anyone at all uses time shooting. But anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I'll try my best to kind of adhere to these suggestions and make those tutorials, but do understand it is getting a bit difficult now, and to be honest, it's hard to find a perfect example, especially coming to the close of FIFA, but I'll try my best nonetheless. Thanks for watching guys, I'll catch you in the next one.